Part of South Africa's Divorce Act is unconstitutional. That's according to a recent ruling by the High Court in Pretoria. It found the section dealing with the distribution of assets discriminated against women. What doesn't in this country? Well, let's find out what this means from Shani van Niekerk. She's a senior associate from Adams and Adams. A very good morning to you, Shani, and thank you so much for your time. Let's talk about that one specific section that is inconsistent with the Constitutional Court. What is it and what is it supposed to say?
So Section 7.3 of the Divorce Act used to say that only if you were married before the Matrimonial Property Act was enacted, which is the 1st of November 1984, you would be entitled to a redistribution claim. Now, the application that dealt before the court, it was argued that the limitation of when you were married, that before 1 November 1984, is unconstitutional since it discriminates between people married before the Act and after the Act. The matter was successful, and the court has now found that that sentence should be severed from the Act, which means that now any party married out of community of property without the accrual is now entitled to claim a redistribution claim.
So, I want to get married to Faith Mangope. What do we call it? Prenup. What does the prenup then now mean today as per this particular ruling? Because obviously a lot of people want to marry prenup because they want to protect that which they are coming into the marriage with. So where does the protection go in terms of the assets that which I bring into the union?
So I think it's important to remember that there are 3 ways to get married. First, it's in community of property, where we share everything. Yours is mine and mine is yours. We share everything. Then we get out of community of property with the accrual. With the accrual system, you can have starting values, and then whatever you make during the course of the marriage, that you share. The third option is out of community of property without the accrual, which means what's mine is mine and what's yours is yours. And this is what this matter, this application in court case has changed significantly. It's this last category, married out of community without the accrual. What's mine is mine and what's yours is yours no longer exists. Because if you are married in that way, the court can, after a few years, make a redistribution. So if you ask me what is the best way to get married now to protect your assets if you do not want to share, it's probably an antenuptial contract with the accrual with various exclusions.
Shani, some people might say the best way to protect what is yours is to just not get married. I mean, you're not obviously a counselor of any sort, but how then do you advise clients in this particular situation? And when I say clients, I'm specifically speaking about women who do not know their rights, women who feel that they contributed very largely to the growth of their partners. So Faith says, yes, I may not have given him the money to go to that job interview where now he enjoys the fortunes because of that job, but I was there for emotional support and such. How does Faith prove that she contributed to my success without anything to show for it?
This is where it gets tricky, and that is why these type of matters, the 7.3 claim, are such long trials, because you would have to go to court and present your evidence, the evidence that you have, and testify. And it would be up to a court to take into account all of the factors, all of the testimonies, and then make a discretionary decision. And you are quite correct that in terms of these 7.3 claims, a court will take into account direct and indirect contributions. The direct contributions is easy. I invested some money in my spouse's business. I must be compensated for what I invested. Indirect is where it gets tricky. Indirect is where I supported him. I looked after the children whilst he went on business trips. A court will take that into account, but you would have to bring the evidence to prove that. And unfortunately, in most of those instances, the only evidence would be your own testimony.
He said, she said. Isn't that what life is really just about these days? Shani, how did we get here? How did we get to a point where a law is about to be changed? Who did what and who got it right or who got it wrong?
You know, there are various, when this matter dealt before the court, a various of factors were considered, both pro the application and against the application. Now, the applicant was represented by a firm in Johannesburg, and they argued that it's discriminatory against these, especially women, that should you be in a 30-year-long marriage, you have contributed through the 30 years, now you walk out of this marriage with nothing. The inequities and the injustifications were just quite frankly there.
The men are probably going to ask, I mean, do I not have rights? Not all men are trying to walk out of marriages, 30-year-long marriages, 20-year-long marriages, even 5-year-long marriages, with everything they walked into those marriages with, or whatever it is they may have gained in those marriages. Some men are just saying, she didn't do anything for me, so why must I give her anything? Where do the men's rights come in, if at all?
So, firstly, I think it should be kept in mind that this matter will not only be for women. I have clients, male clients, that are married to their spouses out of community of property without the accrual, where they decided to place all of the assets in the woman's name. And suddenly, when the parties get divorced, everything is registered in the wife's name and the husband has nothing in his name. So this act will also assist that man, that individual. However, it is true that more women would be, prejudiced by these before the enactment, before this new act. It is so that more women find themselves in these positions. But it's still up to a man. He can also go to a court and prove that this woman did not support me through the marriage. She did not do what is expected of her. She did not contribute towards the growth of my estate. And as much as the wife will have to bring her evidence and testify, the man would have to do the same. And it would be up to a court to weigh, exactly like you said, he said, she said.
Shani, thank you so much for just unpacking and shedding a little more light on the rights of men and women in their marriages. Hopefully people are sitting up and thinking about these kinds of things, because it's important that you consider such particular matters. That is Shani van Niekerk, a senior associate from Adams & Adams, and I'm going to say it now before we get into what it is that I'm going to be bringing you in the world of sport. Faith, I will give you half of whatever is mine.
Everything?
I said half.
I know, but that's everything. Half. Half of everything that you have,
yes.
Half of it is mine, 50%.
Yes, with no contest.
But what do you have?
So.